I want to break into our immediate objective to offer one little sidelight based on the passage of 1 John we just read a moment ago. According to the writer of 1 John, the emphasis is on loving one another, by which he means our brothers. You can check that out in verses 11 and 14 of that passage. But consider these words from Deuteronomy 10, verses 12 through 21. And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you, but to fear the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, to love him, to serve the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, and to keep the commandments and statutes of the Lord, which I command you this day for your good. Behold, to the Lord your God belong heaven and the heaven of heavens, the earth with all that is in it. Yet the Lord set his heart in love upon your fathers, and chose their descendants after them, you above all peoples, as at this day. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no longer stubborn. For the Lord your God is God of gods and Lord of lords, the great, the mighty, and the terrible God, who is not partial and takes no bribe. He executes justice for the fatherless and the widow, and loves the sojourner, giving him food and clothing. Love the sojourner, therefore, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. You shall fear the Lord your God. You shall serve him and cleave to him, and by his name you shall swear. He is your praise. He is your God, who has done for you these great and terrible things which your eyes have seen. And then consider the words of Jesus as recorded in Luke 6, verses 27 to 36. But I say to you that hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. To him who strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from him who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to every one who begs from you, and of him who takes away your goods do not ask them again. And as you wish that men would do to you, do so to them. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies, and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High. For he is kind to the ungrateful and the selfish. Be merciful, even as your Father is merciful. At any rate, I just wanted to point out that the writers of the Scriptures present three different ideas about whom we should love. This last passage I just read, which includes the teachings of Jesus, brings us back to the passage from 1 John and takes us forward to our next example of splanchnon. The use of this word in 1 John occurred in verse 17. But if anyone has the world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart against him, how does God's love abide in him? The word heart is the translation of splanchnon, but should be translated compassion. Another comment on this verse, however, has to do with the meaning of what the RSV translates as God's love, a translation that does not do justice to the literal words, love of God. Let me digress for just a moment to show the significance of this phrase. One of the trickier forms of Greek and Latin nouns is what is called the genitive case. The reason it is trickier has to do with the functions performed by the genitive case when compared with the same functions in the English language. Let me explain briefly what is meant by the genitive case. Our English nouns are basically fixed. I mean, we will have a noun, say man, dog, car, table, book. And it does change forms when we want the plural of that word. Man is men, book is books, car is cars, woman is women, ox is oxen. So the form of the noun does change when we make a plural out of it. It also changes sometimes when we put apostrophe S or S apostrophe on the end of it. That will give you an idea about putting endings on nouns, changing the meaning. Well, in Greek and Latin, you had all kinds of endings you put on nouns, whether it was the subject of the sentence, the direct object of the sentence, the indirect object, or the object of a preposition. Each of those forms had a name. They were nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative, vocative, like that. Well, the genitive case would be just one word in the Greek or the Latin, but it is translated into English by the preposition of. So of God would be the translation of this statement that we read out of 1 John.